I'm gonna let you go.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
I had already established earlier that Andrew was a lot faster than me in test 1, so there's no reason to hold him up here in the start.
3, 2, 1, get out.
This doesn't work out very well for Andrew because the cameraman right up here is standing in the way of the wrong way sign, and he goes the wrong way. And I realize it and turn around, and I think Garrett, went the wrong way too. I don't know if any of the I don't see any dust up there, so I don't think the other guys went this way either. So there's about 15 seconds of my 40 seconds or so difference between test 2 and test 4 right there in that turnaround. So this is test 2 of 4, and I ended up finishing on the day 3rd in my class 40B and 15th overall out of all the Bs, or amateurs as they're called. And right now on the results it shows me in 4th and 16th, but the guy that they have winning the class actually belongs in 40A, so that's going to be fixed as I understand it. This course is pretty high speed, pretty flowy, pretty good flow. We got a few G-outs and hazards that'll catch you off guard if you're not careful, and quite a bit of whoops that just wear you down. A fair amount of sand wash in it too. That's pretty high speed, but also pretty whoopy in places. I really enjoy this race, but after 3.5 hours of racing, it was I was definitely feeling it. I think most people were. And then additionally, this was a restart enduro format where you had to make your restart time, and the club had set a pretty aggressive time, I guess, and a lot of people didn't make their restart time. They were pretty frustrated with that. I managed to make all mine, but not by a lot. I think maybe 7 minutes or something like that between test 1 and 2, and then I had maybe 15 minutes between test 2 and 3, and like 4 minutes between test 3 and 4. Trouble on this day with cramps in my right hand. I have a fair amount of nerve damage in my neck, and usually it causes my left hand problems, but on this day I was having a pinched nerve for the last few days in my right hand, right side of my neck, and it turned out that it manifested itself in the race by making my right hand wanting to cramp pretty much the entire race. Within just a couple minutes of starting the first test, my hand was trying to cramp around the bars, so the whole day was a grand exercise in trying to manage hand cramping. Two runs on this particular test. What we do is on this particular course is there's actually just two courses, so test 1, and then you come over and do this part is test 2, and then have a little bit of more time in between test 2 and 3, so you can gas up or maybe eat or something if you need to, and then you have test 3 is over the same course as test 1, and test 4 is the same as test 2. And then for the expert level riders, the A class riders, they actually have to do a 5th test over that first section again. The first section was more technical than this section here. This test is more flowy. So the time, I think, was not terribly different between test 1 and 2, but I'll have to verify that. I haven't looked at my video. Let me look real quick. I just went and looked, and my time for this test is about 55 minutes, and my time for the shorter test is about 44 minutes. And the first test is a little over 15 miles long, and the second test was a little over 26 miles long. So this is a higher pace test for sure. I didn't have any wrecks this day, which was good. They always eat a lot of time, but I had 2 tip overs in very, very similar locations on test 1 and 3. It cost me probably 30 seconds or so on the first test, and maybe half that on the third test. Sometimes the video makes it really hard to tell why you might go slower or something, in the sense that maybe there's an obstacle, but I don't see any obstacles or big whoops or anything I was dealing with there. I think I'm just kind of backing off for a second. Maybe I'm recouping for a second. corners like this where it just wasn't marked clear enough, I guess, because it was very obvious that pretty much everybody blew out that corner. We had a few of those in both test sections. Sand washes today. I tend to be kind of tentative in sand washes. I don't handle them very well. Anyhow, but I did pretty good today. I was carrying more speed, and especially through the corners. So I was pretty happy with that. I believe this is the sand wash. Let me see. Yeah, some guys are catching up with me here. I'm going to look over here to the left. Some guys are catching up with me, but they're not quite there yet. I believe one of them is Andrew, the guy who had started with me and he went the wrong way. And the other one, I need to go look up his name. The other one is, I believe, Dominic Craighill, and he had caught me on test 1 and passed me, and then I passed him back because he crashed, and then, or at least he got swapped up on the trail or something. I passed him, and then he got back around me when I stopped to put my goggles back on after going through the school back before I was getting on sand track, and then so here they come. I think that's Craighill in the front. I think that might be Andrew in the back, and you see him fly past me there, and Andrew is way faster than me. Dominic Craighill ended up he's pretty impressive. He won two classes last year, a youth class and a big bike class, which is pretty unique in our series. So he's got some speed. So he caught me on this one and the previous test, and then I started reeling him back in here for a while. I kind of picked my pace up here trying to keep up with him, and I kind of reeled Dominic back in for a while, and then he started getting back away from me. So then, but on the day as a whole, I ended up beating him. On tests 3 and 4, he never did catch me. We're all restarting again on the same times, right? So he never did catch me again. I don't know if he had issues to where he didn't hit his start time later for some reason, a bike problem, or just confusion. A lot of people just got confused and didn't make their start time. So I don't know. I haven't talked to him since then, but I always like having people to try to latch onto and push myself a little bit, so that they pretty much, you can see a little bit of dust still, but they got away from me pretty much here. But later I will have Dominic back in view again for a while. On this race, there's one particular guy I haven't figured out his number, and it doesn't matter in the big sense of things, but he was in my way a lot, and this whole you know, this is enduro, so you're not supposed to be racing the guys on the row with you unless you happen to have somebody in your row that's in your class, which they try to avoid. Nobody on my row was in the same class as me. We had five unique classes on our row, or class division combination. And, well, we were all B. Anyhow, I'm rambling on. We were all Bs in different divisions. And but one of the guys, you know, I'm not saying, I cursed at him and yelled at him a lot on the course. I'm not saying he's right or wrong, because it's all kind of subjective. But to me, when somebody comes up behind me, as soon as I know they're behind me, I look for a way to get out of their way, because they've proven they're faster than me. I don't know how many minutes I caught him from every test. I caught him every single test, and every single time he was the one that held me up the longest. And it was very frustrating during the thing. He would seem to want to keep racing with you, or then he would say he'd try to motion me by, but he wouldn't get over and he wouldn't back off at all. He wants you to just pass in the rough while he's still going at speed and bouncing all over the place. It doesn't feel like it's worth the risk to me a lot of those times. If there's a path where I feel like it's safe and I'm not going to end up taking us both out trying to get around him, then by all means I'll do so. But it was very frustrating. I know I lost some amount of time. It's hard to judge, because it's hard to judge how much you're going under your pace when you're behind somebody. You caught them, so you're definitely faster, so you're losing some speed, and then additionally you're in their dust, so you can't push as hard and you can't see as far up the course to know where there's obstacles you need to avoid. And if you decide to pass in the rough, it's a risk. So it's a complicated thing that we all have to try to make those decisions while we're racing. It's not the easiest thing all the time, and sometimes in post, you know, looking at the video, it's obvious what could have been done different, but not always. But if you're watching this and if I can pass on anything, you know, if I can encourage anybody, when you know somebody's behind you, in an enduro at least, they caught you, and you owe it to them to get out of their way as soon as you can. You don't have to come to a stop, but you should make an effort to clear the trail and let them by, and not force them to have to make a real risky decision to do so, because, you know, they've earned getting past you. They're faster than you already. And that doesn't apply to me, it applies to everybody. When people come up to me, I try to treat them that same way. Sometimes it really is not feasible to let somebody by for a short distance, but it really isn't very long usually. If I know somebody's behind me, it's very rare that I stay in their way more than a few seconds. And then additionally, every time you come up to a turn like that, if you come up to a slow turn that's a sharp turn like that, that's a perfect opportunity to look around and get some situational awareness as to where are the guys coming up behind you on the course, and it's also a great place to let somebody pass you, because you're already going slow, so you're not really losing much time to just hold up a second and let them get by. I know I ride with and talk to a lot of guys who are A-level, expert-level guys, and pretty much universally when I talk to them, nobody wants to be a bad sport, but they basically say, you give them fair warning, and if they don't get out of the way, you punt them off the course. And I haven't got to that point yet where I ever feel like I want to take that risk, because that's a risk into itself, and it's certainly not very sportsmanlike. And I certainly wouldn't try to make somebody crash, but, you know, you force somebody to take the lesser desirable line, and you take the good line. You know, we see it all in motocross, but I don't want our series to become this bar-to-bar beating each other off the course, especially in the amateur ranks. I know that as you go up to expert and the AA, those guys are going to get more and more competitive, but from what I've seen, even they are pretty good about letting each other by. At least with the AAs, they have money on the line. They have a little more incentive to race harder and make you earn your way by. And then in a hare scramble, there's obviously the concept of it's a hare scramble. We started at the same time, but the fact is, every time you do a hare scramble, very soon on the course, course, at some point in the race, you're going to have people on your butt that are not in your class. And sooner or later, it's going to be pros or high, very fast A's. And they're not going to have patience for you sitting in their way too long. I know that. I always make a point to get out of their way. Those guys are way faster than me, and there's no reason for me to hold them up. I don't know if this is Dominic I'm on right here. I think it's not. I think I do get past both of these guys. Or no, I get past the one that's at the back, I think, and then the front one might be Dominic or something. I don't know. So I try to let him know that I'm there pretty far back. That would have been a perfect opportunity for him to just lay up for a second, let me by. But this guy didn't hold me up too long. He did a great job letting me by. Probably sacrificed more than he needed to. Both these guys are really good. And again, you just do what's reasonable. You don't have to sacrifice your race over it. And it's not like you're the only one giving that time up. Everybody is getting passed by somebody for the most part, except for the pros. And then the pros are, having to deal with passing everybody. So it's just all part of this game we play. Crashing at speed really hurts, and these high-speed sections always make me nervous. And it's weird because I feel more uncomfortable in a wide-open, fast section than I do just hauling as fast as I can through single track, where there's much more stuff to hit. Obviously, the speeds are higher in a fast section, but you'd think the chance of crashing is less. But I just know the cost is a lot higher when you crash there. So here's a guy that I wish would have let me by, but we haven't really established that I'm faster than him, because what happens, these two guys just re-entered the course after taking a wrong turn. This guy's going to almost eat it right up here. Right. Not yet. Here in a second. He's gonna hit a G out he wasn't expecting. And about crash. So then he decides to let me by. As I can. I think since I've started racing, there's only one race I didn't record at all because my neck was bothering me too much to have the extra weight on my head. And these videos are very useful for me going back and analyzing what I do, but also for this race, I went back and reviewed my video of this same race from 2 years ago, and a whole lot of the course was the same. Some of it we ran in the opposite direction, so it hardly does you any good because it's pretty much unrecognizable going in the opposite direction. But I watched this test and this test, a whole lot, not all of it, but a whole lot of this course was identical. So it was very beneficial beneficial to me. So this video stuff is nice to have. Another tip I'll give for any of you that are doing editing on your own and you're interested in this, you may notice that my audio is going lower on the motorcycle when I talk, because I'm doing this as a voiceover. That's called ducking, like duck, you know, a duck that quacks. That's called audio ducking, and so different video editing software has different ways of doing that. And I use a piece of software called DaVinci Resolve, which is pro level software. They make a lot of hardware, really fancy hardware and stuff too, and some really high-end cameras and stuff. But it's actually free software for Linux, Mac, and Windows. If anybody is not sure what to use, this is just absolutely top-notch software. But the learning curve's a little steeper than some of the simpler stuff like iMovie or Windows Movie Maker or something. So it takes a little investment in time. Like even the ducking thing on here is not simple, but it's incredibly powerful, the features it has. So if you were looking to do that and you weren't sure how to look for the right words, because it took me a while to figure it out, they call it audio ducking. This section right through here really appeals to me. Oh, this is interesting. So I went left here. There was an option right there, and I went left. And I didn't even realize, on this first lap, I literally didn't even realize there was an option. So you saw right there a rejoin. And the other way to the right was a way that we had gone in previous years. So it's kind of interesting that I didn't recognize that on the first time through here. Second time through here, I went left again. And again, there was somebody right in front of me at the time, and he went right, and I was confused because at the riders meeting, they had discussed that there were some places where the course came dangerously close together where you might get confused and go on the wrong part of the course. And I didn't know if that's what was happening or what, so I cut back off and went back down to the right to get back on part of the trail I hadn't been on all day. But so I gave up a little time there in test 4 when I was doing it. Probably not long, maybe 10 seconds, 5 or 10 seconds. I'm only going to post test 2 and test 3 because those are my 2 fastest times over these same parts of the course. So test 3 was my fastest over the test 1 section, and no reason to post all 4 of them. This may be the guy that I ended up griping at. Can't remember. We'll see. It's kind of embarrassing how angry I get with him, but once you get up there and you're being held up in the dust and stuff, it's very annoying. You got all this adrenaline going for your racing and stuff. Of course, everybody always, you hope everybody treats you the way that you treat them, and I know that I hurry up and get out of the way, so I hope that other people get out of my way when I catch them. Watching my video earlier, I had saw these 2 rock things I'm going to have to go over right here. I remember seeing those in my video before, and I thought I should just hit those at speed and just boom, bounce off, and just jump them. And they're more intimidating when you come up to them, to where you don't. I have no doubt that somebody like Ryan Wells just hits that and just bounces right over it. Does exactly what he would expect out of a pro at his level. And I think if I was fresher and had time to come and look at it and think about it, I could probably hit it and get some air off of it and have fun with it. But in the heat of racing. It's like just get over it safe and don't screw something up. You're not gonna make any real time up, you know, not any significant amount anyway, by taking a risk on it. I believe this, maybe this wash that I'm not going to show you test 4, but yeah, it's this wash right up through here. This wash got horribly whooped out as the race progressed. So when I came through here the second time in test 4, I think it was, might not have been that one, but one of these little narrow wash like that. We'll see if this one ends up sweeping around to the right and coming back into a narrow wash again. But just got so whooped out, and by the 4th test, you're just whooped, you're tired, and I just had to roll through part of them. They're just too much. Tirade is going to start before long. So you can see I'm laying back quite a bit here. Try not to, I don't want to be right on their tail waiting for them to crash, because I have that happen quite a bit. Quite a bit. These guys, you catch up with them and they want to go faster, and then they were going because you're on their tail now instead of letting you by, and then they start making big mistakes. I've had guys.
Such an asshole!
Oh, see, I'm a little bit angry.
You're just holding me.
And I wear earplugs when I'm riding. So I know sometimes I don't hear the 2-strokes come behind me because of my on a 4-stroke. But I'm pretty sure he knows I'm back here.
Get out of the way!
I'm not going anywhere.
You freaking idiot!
See, he's gonna crash. That's what he's getting pretty loose there. And I have that happen quite a bit of times when I'm coming up behind somebody. They start getting all swappy in the rear end, trying to go faster than they were going before you caught up to them. I don't want to be collected in somebody else's crash when they're trying to ride faster than they were riding already. And I mean, I think we all do it in the sense that if I see somebody coming and they still have a gap, I will try to push harder to defer when they pass me, pretty much understanding that it's inevitable they're going to pass me. Although, in a rare occasion, I have held them off the whole time. And when I say held off, I mean I maintained a gap. If somebody catches up to me to where I can hear their motor behind me while I'm going along, and for God forbid if I hear them yell at me, I'm getting out of their way at my earliest convenience. That's just all there is to it. I don't know how much I can hark on that. It just really irked me today that how much I got held up. And it was pretty much, I think, by that one same guy every single test, which is the problem with a restart enduro, is that you get behind the same people every time. I assume the guy's a fine individual and he wasn't specifically trying to tick me off or anything. You know, everybody has their different way of viewing it. I know it wouldn't be an invalid way to think I'm in my own race and I need to go, so why should I have to sacrifice time just to let you by? But, you know, that's not how I view it, and I think it's just part of the sport that you're going to have to let people by sometimes. Are you people sick of hearing me hark on this yet? I'm pretty sick of hearing myself hark on it, so anyhow, if you hear me coming, get out of my way, would you please? I'll get out of yours, I promise. next time through, I went to the right, kind of, I didn't bypass it, still correct, but it's a lot less significant. I sacrificed 2 or 3 seconds to go around it. I'd had enough beat on at that point. So I'll stop. I'm not going to talk anymore here, except I'm going to go forward here. exactly the right thing. He hollered for me to get out of the way at a place where it was